Hi, it's Lyle from Made by Marley. Welcome back to our channel. Today I am going to be decoupaging with the shower curtain. Here is the result. Follow along to see how it went. So this is the piece for today. It's a pine dresser. It's reasonable quality, well built. There's nothing wrong with it. Tidy inside, even though the outside isn't very tidy. It's had a hard life. It's all marked, dinged, scratched, awful. That's all I'm going to say about it. It was completely free, listed on Facebook Marketplace, and we picked it up.
Smash and grab.
We smashed it and grabbed it in about 5 minutes. We drove along the road. They jumped at the end of the drive. We put it in our boot and drove home. Why did I pick this piece for this piece is because I had previously been looking for something that looked a bit shiplappy. So this and the sides kind of constitute in my mind that I think I can make it work. So what is today all about? Today is a seaside, sea, beach, tropical, not tropical, I'm sending you in the wrong direction. It's the sea, seaside-y. That's what we're doing today, which is funny because I live in Scotland. We're miles away from any beaches, but hey,
we're not that far.
Well, we're not that far, but
but
we're not on a tropical beach.
And we're not, yeah.
Now, today is going to be really exciting.
This is exciting.
Man, it's exciting. Today is going to be really exciting and interesting, and there's going to be a lot of thought process. Normally, Fran asked me a question the other day, and she said, do you always plan? And I said, yes. I always have a palette. I always have a drawing, and I always have a rough idea in my mind how my piece is going to work, especially for a YouTube video. Today is not like that because it's a little bit different, and I'm going to just feel my way through the project. And I said to Fran, sometimes you have to feel your way through a project. You're not quite sure where it's going to go next. You have to wait till you kind of get into it to see. And this is one of those projects. I have a shower curtain. Yes, a shower curtain. I bought this shower curtain.
Specifically
Martin is already laughing. I was looking for something beachy, and I thought, I'm going to get a shower curtain and I'm going to decoupage this furniture. Now, how am I going to make this work? Because it's quite a big shower curtain, and the things are quite big format for my piece. So I think what I'm going to do, first of all, so there's a seahorse here. There is, I'm not going to be doing too much. I'm not going to be worrying too much about like the seaweed and things. Then there's a turtle in the middle. So there's the turtle. And up the top, there is an octopus. See him there? There's the octopus. How am I going to set about doing this? Now, I've thought about it in my mind. I've had a good couple of weeks to mull this over, how I would execute it. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to worry too much about the background right now. I'm not going to worry about the background at all. I'm going to be worrying about cutting out the main characters that I want to have on this piece. So I'm not going to worry about the background, but I do want something to blend up to. So I'm not going to cut too tight into it, if you know what I mean. So I'm just going to change my scissors because these are not very good. I'm going to give myself a bit of a margin all the way around. I'm not going to worry about the background. And I think that's probably the best way to tackle something like this. Now, this seahorse isn't going to fit onto the front of my furniture, which means that I'm going to have to do a little bit of taping together to see how I'm going to fit him on, best place him on.
You might lose his tail.
I'll bring his tail back up the front, but you can see what I'm doing. I'm kind of giving myself enough leeway around it. And I thought the best thing to do is tackle each of the main elements that I want on this and then focus on how I bring it all together at a later date. How am I going to apply this? I'm going to apply it with Mod Podge. I'm just going to go whip round his tail here and let's just I just want to get started. I don't want you to miss things, but now, why a shower curtain? Why not? I always say you can decoupage with anything. Now, the problem with the shower curtain is it's got this fold down here. We're going to have to cut that off. That is just going to be too lumpy to decoupage. There's certain things you can do, but I really don't think I can do that. And I don't think you could blend that away either. So let's just go down this edge here and get rid of this. I've kind of got my paint kind of sitting in the utility room ready because I've looked at where we're going with this. So I've got it'll be a very blended, put together piece. So I'm just cutting this off here. Sorry, this is very boring and quite laborious that you're seeing me do this, but I shouldn't do this part.
Tell them about your new glasses.
I got new glasses today, Matt, and saying tell them about your new glasses. For those that aren't channel members and are just normal Sunday members, I've had so many disasters with glasses. My glasses got broken. I was then using my old glasses, which weren't the right prescription, which means I could hardly see what I was doing. I have varifocals, so they're both for reading and for distance. I'm not legally able to drive without glasses. That's how bad my eyesight is. So without my glasses, I'm so vain. I should wear glasses all the time, but I don't. It's not vanity. I just don't like them on my face. So I keep taking my glasses off, but I've learned lessons with glasses. Because I don't know how many, if you've watched my YouTube channel for a long time, you know I've been through a few sets of glasses. I'm going for green because I've got green eyes. I thought it might work with a red here. I wasn't sure. Right, okay, so let's have a wee look because there's going to be a whole load of things here. Now, this is going to be quite complicated. This handle, I already can see, is going to have to come off. You're watching this live. Let's see if I can get it off without a screwdriver. It's coming. Right. Just pull it off. Because we're going to have to go up and down and round, and I think I want him to be coming down this side here. And then don't worry about the tail, because we'll cut the tail off and we'll bring the tail up round this side here, I think is the way we're going to go. Something like this. So I think that probably the best way, because this is how I roll, is just to dive right in and get going. Because what are we scared of? You are going to need a razor blade or a X-Acto knife or a Stanley knife, or you're going to need something to cut because we're going to have to cut. Wait till I get them the right way up. Because we're going to have to cut things as we go. I don't want to start cutting it and putting it on in sections. I'm going to try and do it in a oneer and then come back because I want it to wrap around my furniture, if you know what I mean. So I'm just going to be quite bold and brave. That won't surprise you. And I'm just going to go for it. Now, with all decoupaging, you know the drill. You need to cover everywhere with glue. If you do not cover it with glue, you're going to get wrinkles. And I'm not doing exactly an easy thing here because I'm taking it on top of my cupboards, down my cupboards. But the glue is the main component. I'm using Mod Podge, which I would use for Made by Marley decoupage paper. But I think because this is heavy, I think we need quite a strong, quite a bonding glue for this one. I don't think you could do it with a top coat. Put a shower curtain on with a top coat. You don't have to pick a seaside shower curtain. You can pick whatever kind of shower curtain you want. I'm just giving you the inspo, really. We'll know at the end whether I've pulled this off. As yet, I don't know. So, Martin, what do you think? Do you think I will? Martin's going to say yes.
I've learned to trust you. I do. I think it'll be brilliant.
So I'm
really looking forward to it.
I'm going to get this one on, and then I'm going to put the lobster. There isn't a lobster. I'm going to put the crab. No, there's not a crab either. The octopus. I'm going to put the octopus and the turtle on other places. It's just I want you to see one going on because this is probably going to be the majority part of the tricky part of the video, I think. Now, I'm not sure whether I've overglued or underglued, but we'll see. Now, you don't want too much lumpy, bumpy parts. So I think I'm calling that quite good there. Now, let's have a look at them. I want it to wrap around this drawer, so I feel it should go on like butter, but you know, who knows? I need a bit more glue on this side. I'm just feeling my way through the project, and I think sometimes it's really good to do that. You don't want to be going off. I don't really want his eye in there, do I? I'm going to have to, sorry. See, this is what I mean. You don't want his eye in that fold of the drawer, so let's bring him up a little bit just till his eyes. And let's start that process again. Yeah, I need to think about things like eyes. They're quite important. Now, I am going to tuck that up in there. I think I'm going to need a bit more glue. This is important. You just take your time. And I'm sorry for the long part of footage here, but I think if you see it done once, you'll know what to do with the rest. There. Have I got enough glue around here? Oh, I did a bit. That was way too much.
Mucho glue.
That was silly, actually. Now I've got way too much glue on there. Now we'll make sure is it his snout? I don't know.
Yes.
It is
yes,
called
it
a
is
snout.
yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
You are correct.
I wasn't sure if I was making that up. I'm just gonna tuck now. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do things like this, which I think I'm gonna cut a little V out of here. How we make that work in a transition, as yet, I don't know. It remains to be seen. Unknown. I'm just going to take a little bit more from here. I want it to go round.
It's an adventure.
It is an adventure, and shouldn't creative projects be this way?
Yeah.
Shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think they should.
How are you supposed to discover new things?
How do you do things if you've never done it? You have to kind of. I mean, okay, maybe you shouldn't do it on camera, but I'm kind of bold that way. I just want to make sure that this here isn't slipping. I think when we go to cut it at the end, there might be a little bit that I have to paint in, but we shall see. I'm going to do. How am I going to do it? Yeah, I'm just going to do this. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to Mod Podge on here so it's hard so that I can cut that seam off, if you know what I mean. Am I making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to go like this just now because I can maybe cut this seam right in and re-glue it, because I think that's probably the best way to deal with that. Now we're getting up into here now. I'm going to do this at this part just so that it sits nice in here. Now because you're going quite slow, you might need to re-glue areas. I'm not 100% sure whether, because I'm going so slowly, that I might need a little bit more glue along here. As long as you've not got too many big lumpy parts of glue. Just trying to get that fold of the shower curtain to disappear. Down here. Sorry, I'm not talking. I'm concentrating. I think we need to make sure we've got plenty of glue in this shiplap, because we want it to go in there if we can get it to bend in there. We might have to cut it with a knife. You like how I always use the royal we, like we're doing this together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
think it makes you feel inclusive.
when I do something, it's all Martin did this, Martin did that. When you do something, it's me. I get all the credit.
Well, to be fair, Matt, normally when you do something, it is only you that does it, because I obviously haven't got the capacity.
Yes, you have.
Right.
You're far braver than I am. I like to plan it out.
Oh, I know you do.
I need to know in advance what I'm going to do. You just go, oh, we'll try it. What can go wrong?
To be fair, I meant what I said at the beginning. I normally will plan in advance, but that you can't plan. I don't think you can plan this. I don't think this is something you can plan. I think you just have to feel your way on the project. So I'm just working my way down. I think what I'm probably going to do when this is dry is I'm going to cut in here with a knife down these joins. I think I've got a bit of lift here. I think it's just a case of kind of like really massaging the glue into the back of the fabric to make it kind of stay. And I think that's the time. I mean, when I can fiddle with this off camera, I just want to get to the bottom so that you know where we're going with this. So I think it's not like decoupage paper that you can just fold. So I don't want to cut that part of his tail because I'm going to try and apply it somewhere else. So let's just kind of see here if I can cut this reasonably straight. Everybody knows I can't cut a straight line. Right, so let's remove his tail just now and let's get this down the bottom.
Sorry for that jerky camera movement. That was my fault.
It's because Marty's jerky. He's old.
Cheeky.
He's just been lying under the inside this piece of furniture before with a torch inside it because he was putting it back together because I'm doing it as a one. And I was laughing at him lying under the furniture. Now, I am going to, because I don't like this part here and I don't think it's really going to make much difference if it goes. What did I do with my brush? Now, I think the best thing I can say about this, and because I've never done it before, so is probably what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over it because I think there may be lift in areas that we will have to come back and deal with, but I think the best way to get this all down is to glue it down so that it'll never come back off, because that would be a horror for furniture, wouldn't it? So you can see this part so far, and I think you can understand where I'm going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get the octopus and the turtle, and I'm going to apply them in the same way, and I'm going to apply the glue over the top, and I'm going to get these all stuck down nice. Then we'll come back and we will look at where we're going to go next. But I think as a whole, I'm pretty happy with it so far. The tail, let's just, where did what happened to his tail? The tail is going to come back. I'm probably going to put the tail round about here. So I'm going to lose this part here and I'll start it about here like it's, you know, I could even have it going kind of reasonably, maybe sideways like that. And I'll apply the tail in the same way on here. So his tail's back on. I'm going to do a little bit of work on here. And I'm going to just go round it all, making sure that it's all completely saturated and it's stuck onto the furniture like absolutely never coming back off. Okay? Okay, I'm just going to get Martin to scan down. So I've got the octopus. He's applied up the top. I cut the turtle in half and I've done a half and half on both of the sides. So one side here and there's the other half of the turtle on this side. And I've got my, I wanted to say dragonfly. It's a seahorse on it. Okay. Paint. let's just talk about what I'm thinking is going to happen in the fast forwarded future. I think we need to kind of like put something onto this first to make sense of it anyway before we do anything much else. Because it's a little bit thicker, we're going to have to kind of layer it up. So I've got some colours in my palette and I'm just going to paint it all with these various colours first. Then I think I'm going to be doing some stenciling. Then I think I'm going to be doing some decoupaging. Then I'm going to be doing maybe a bit more painting. Then I'm going to be doing some stamping. So we're going to build it all up and set the scene in layers, I think. So because I haven't got a specific plan, these are the colours that I'm going to start with. Now, we've got a Busan blue, which is that sort of dark petrol-y blue. Giverny, which is the light sort of brighter blue. We have Oxford Navy, which is the dark navy, and we have Provence, which is the lighter or sort of kind of light pale veering towards turquoise colour. Right, so that's the paint colours I'm going to be using. Am I blending it? Don't really know, to be honest. What I'm going to try and do. I think what I'm going to start to do is the way I would normally do furniture. Now I'm going to take these knobs off in a minute because I've actually got some swanky nautical handles to go on it. So I think what I'm going to kind of do is do my usual and kind of frame out this frame first with the dark around the edges. This is just a starter, so you can get right up over the top of that. That's really important that you get up over that lip. What we do with it after that is anybody's guess, but let's try and we'll work on our transitions as they come, but let's just get that down there. Let's go in with some Giverny, and I'm just going to mix all of these sorts of colours together just to give us a good sort of colour to start working on. Really, I think that's probably the best way to go with this. I am going to come back obviously with some creams to work this out, but really you're not going to be missing much at this stage. It's just the colours that I've said, and I'm just going to kind of mix and match them along the piece, sides, tops, in between the parts of the dress or top as well, and just kind of like meld these together just now as a starter, and we'll see where we go after that. Okay, so I used the various different blues to go round the furniture, sides and front, everything inside here, etc. Always remember that, so that it's all blue. Now, the blue is only just a kind of fleeting sort of, it's going to, quite a lot of that is probably going to go, but it needs something underneath it, and I thought that would be quite interesting. Now, I don't know why I was shouting on Martin, but forgot that Martin wasn't here. So I had a sheet of decoupage paper that I printed out. It was just like a ship's map, or an old map. But I went and ripped it up into parts before you even came. So before you came through, I don't know why I did that. So I just ripped it into some strips, literally, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply it in sort of, I really kind of thought I might do, no, that's not how I thought I'd do it. I thought I might do one here. We're going to glue that on in a minute. Well, we'll just glue it on now. I'm just going to put some strips. It's because there's more paint going over the top of this because we still have to work through our transitions, but I want some more interest underneath. So I think this is probably how I'm going to do it. I am not sure whether I'm going to blend paint up to the transitions where the rips are because I might stain them brown. I'm still feeling my way through this, so but I think that's okay. Now, making sure you've got plenty of glue on. Put that back on there. And smooth that out. I think I'll get rid of that part there. So that is, I've got a few wrinkles in that. That was the way I applied it. Right, okay, so that's going to be there. I thought I would do some round the doors. So let's just put these on. I'm not going to go crazy with this. It's just a little bit of, it's just to give it a little bit more sort of interest. That's the only reason I'm doing this. This is optional. And I have another piece here, which I thought I'd put down.
I think this piece is fabulous.
Are you quite enjoying this,
I
Martin?
really like it, yeah.
Everybody, I'll be starting a trend. We're decoupaging with curtains. Oh no, that won't be good for business.
Yeah, don't do this at home.
I think that creativity should be open to anyone. So
I know. You've always said that.
knock yourself
we
out.
yeah, we have our own decoupage business, but
Yeah.
we've always said,
no, it's
you do you.
you've got
whatever you've got to
to
hand.
you've got to kind of like you've got to explore things and play with things and work things out. And I think this is a good way of doing it. I'm just going to put one down here, and I think.
Well, you do that yourself. I mean, have you done a shower curtain on a piece before?
No, I have not. I can
No.
safely say this is something I have never done.
Experiment. Try
yeah,
new things, isn't it?
it is about that. And we've got kind of, I don't know what happened there. Try that instead. I don't really want it going over the edges. I want it quite smooth so that I can just kind of something like that. And maybe I could add some of the ripped
I like
part.
that piece.
You like that piece? I like
Yeah,
that piece
it's
as
a bit
well.
like Florida. Well, that's in my head anyway.
If you're in Florida, please write in. Is Martin correct?
That could be the keys.
Oh dear, it's been a long day.
It's a bit big for the keys, but never mind.
I have enough trouble with Scotland. Right, putting some more on here, and I think I'm gonna just. There we go. That looks like Dumfries and Galloway.
So I was thinking pirates and the Caribbean and all that kind of thing, and Florida and the Keys and things. Not Dumfries and Galloway.
I'm from Dumfries and Galloway. There's nothing wrong with that. Right, there we go. Now, I think I just want a wee piece up in here. So let's just to kind of, I want to kind of rip it in a sort of funky way like that other piece. But yeah, let's see. So you get the sort of, I won't be putting any of it up the top because there's no real place for it to kind of go. Maybe down, I'll maybe put some in those corners there, but there's no more of this going to go on.
The octopus is awesome.
Right. Okay.
Look at that.
Who's more happy with my work, me or Martin? I think quite often more Martin. Right, so I've got these on here, and with my new glasses, I can tell that I like them. I'm just making sure that everything's stuck down nice. Here I have some white. Oh, I seem to have an airlock in my white. Oh, and I have some cocoa. I just want a little part of this. Now, I am going to be applying the paint. I'm going to kind of mix them together. I'm not wanting a white, I'm wanting a sort of beigey white. I don't want to have to add yellowy tones to this, even though this is more yellowy. I'm going more with this. So now I've done this, I want to keep this sort of shiplappy sort of affair that I've got going on underneath it. So let's just try and start making this look like it's actually kind of cohesive. We can take it into here as well over the transitions. I'm always a little bit kind of, you have to work a little bit more at these ones. So put more of the kind of beige down in between at the transition. So you can see on my palette knife, I've got a bit more beige as I kind of bring that out. I'm trying my best to eradicate those nasty transitions, and I'm doing it with paint. And this should, hopefully, I mean, as I said, I have no plan, but I have in my head executed this many different times. I just want to make it look like it's got texture. It's had a bit of a life. So I'm going to be now kind of pretty much going over this piece, making it look quite like this. Hopefully that is the plan. I will probably put some of this brown paper with the map on it up in the kind of corners with the octopus just to tie it together, because this is just one of the layers. There's going to be more. So right, so I might have to kind of add some yellow to make this work with my transitions from this paper, but we shall see. I don't want to make it look like it's just you know, it's not just paper stuck on there. So you can do that in various different ways, but I think by using the palette knife, you're going to get more of a sort of worn off look as opposed to something that doesn't, that looks like it's just been stuck on. So I'm kind of bringing it down to there, making sure that I kind of touch the paper as well. This is going to be a tricky one, so let's just do something like that. But you can see what I'm doing now. I'm working on eradicating. And somebody said to me the other day, what are the transitions? It's very simple. If you put decoupage, or whether it's a shower curtain or whether it's paper, you have to get from this part here, because that's clunky, you can see it, where the shower curtain is. You have to get from this part here to all of your furniture, bridging all the gaps so that it no longer looks like it's been stuck on. And that is good.
Well, blur the lines between things.
Good transition work is a good thing, because if people can't tell, and I would say, I'll get Martin to put a link above the Alice in Wonderland. If you're new to our channel, you didn't see the Alice in Wonderland piece that I did at the beginning of the year. It had some major transitions. It had loads of different things, and it was on glass as well, which made it even equalier. I mean, this is easy compared to working on glass, because glass is not forgiving. So if you're thinking about how to bridge transitions and move things out, then that is a really good video to watch. So is the video where I've done night out on a decoupage paper, but I've made it work across the piece by hand, painting and all these kind of things. Bridging your transitions and making it look like it's seamless is the piece of work that you should put your most effort into, because when people look at it and it's seamless, it's so much better than, because it's the first thing I look at other people's furniture and I go, is that too clunky, or can I see? If I can't see the joins, then you're good. And that's the thing you have to work on. So I'm going to get on. I'm going to make this work by adding my whites and my beiges. I might add a little bit of yellow in my paint, just because this is slightly yellowy green as opposed to the beigey colour on here. So I might have to do something with that. But apart from that, I'm just going to be covering now the whole piece with some white. Not all white, but, you know, making it work that I might keep the dark colour behind it and just maybe do the drawers and do the shelving and the sides and leave the back kind of thing. Okay, so I'm still working on the white, and I've done kind of quite a lot up here, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing. For the likes of where there's quite a lot of background left, I'm kind of eradicating some of it. I'm still using the cocoa colour and the white, but I've added a Versailles, which is a sort of yellowy white, because it worked better with these colours down here. So I'm kind of incorporating some of it up here as well. So, and I'm just kind of getting rid of some of that kind of ship map that was behind it. I don't want too much of that. So I'm just kind of working my way along. So the likes of this part here, how would you work it? Because let me just move this paint so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Because this is the trickiest part. The bottom transitions that come onto the furniture here, to me, are fine, but this isn't. So, and this edge here looks okay, but where the fabric meets, can you see that little part under there? That is not, that's a giveaway that you've done something to that you've stuck something on. So let's try and get rid of that first. What I kind of tend to do is get a smaller brush and just put the paint up inside it, up like that. So you can no longer see that there's a kind of, like a kind of almost a hole, right? Go back with your white on your palette and start filling in the white first, because you want white, but you want some of it quite solid as well. So because the back is different to the front, so we're kind of using some brushwork as well to come up in. And this just is going to take a little bit of time. I'm going to do my palette knife in between there. And all I'm really doing is kind of getting rid of some of the background. I need a smaller brush for this. And I'm alternating between the 3 different shades of kind of paler shades to kind of get rid of that. So I'm kind of happy with that. You don't want it all going round the edges like that, because then it looks like you're trying to hide something. So if you go over the top with a different texture, then your kind of telltale hiding strategy has kind of disappeared if you use different colours. Now you don't want that little lip there either, because that's another telltale sign. So you have to kind of almost bring it, I'm really in an awkward position, but kind of over like that to get rid of these. You just have to keep working at them and kind of alternating through brush strokes and palette knife strokes. This side here is fine. There's not much I want to really do to that. I just want to kind of, I see I've got another part down there that I'm going to have to work on. So I just want to fill this in here with white first, because we know that this part here is okay. We're happy with that. But I am going to put some white on my brush and get rid of some of this background. So let's just kind of blend that in. And this is just the parts that take a little bit of time. I mean, there's no rush to do this. It's just has to be done. So I'm kind of happy there, but I'm kind of brushing over that there. And I'm going to meet these two here. Now there's that other nasty transition there. So let's just get some paint and just slot it into there first of all, so that we're kind of then bringing a different colour and a different texture over the top of that to make sure that that's gone. I can see another part here, so I'm going to put in there. Oh, it's really raining here. We were going to pack a pallet for a customer. Thank goodness we didn't.
It's true.
Yeah. So can you see how that suddenly it's when you look at it as a whole? If Martin pans back,
I'm love. This is like extreme decoupage. This is that, you know, that thing that Lel says about you can decoupage anything. If you just, these are just the techniques that you use.
Decoupage with anything.
Yes, with anything.
On anything mostly as well, I guess. But so you can see where I've done it here. Now this was all one big background, so I just painted that in. I didn't have anything needed to distress. I've done it here. Got rid of these. I've got in there to do. I've done here, and I've got a finish, and I've got up in around here to do. But this is how it. When I stand back, once we've done this, the background will be all the paler colours, the beiges, the cream, and the cocoa to here. I'm not going to touch this part round here because I like these transitions on this piece of furniture. That looks nice, and I like the way the octopus, and I don't think they're telling, so I'm leaving that, and I'm leaving that little kind of paler part as well. I'm not taking the blue right up to it. I'm leaving that paler part just so I don't lose any definition between this blue and this blue. So that's fine by me. I'll do the rest of the white, and then we'll be working back down onto the front again. This is where we hit yesterday with the I put a lot more because that was when I realised that I didn't like the background, and it was becoming too muddy looking when I stood back. So I filled that in quite solidly, but I'm only kind of putting my distress on the two doors, and on the back and the sides, obviously, because that's where all the detail is. I haven't got to the sides yet, but hopefully I'm explaining this in a way that it's just small baby steps till we get to the colours that you want it to be, and it sits in there really nicely. Once you can stand back and you feel it all works cohesively, then that way you can move on to the next part. So that's all I'm literally doing now. You're not missing anything. I'm just blending the sides with the white, the back with the white, so that everything's dry and we can come back and do our next set of layers. So the layer of white and the different shades of the cocoa and the Versailles, which is the creamy yellow, have been applied to the back, to the fronts, and to the sides. you haven't missed anything. I've kind of already done it in detail. Now, next layer. I have a set of Made by Marley decoupage paper. It's called Love Your Greens. It's this one here. I've already cut a page up, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing. I'm just flipping it over, and I am roughly just kind of winging a sort of seaweedy sort of shape. Something like that. Yeah, I'm cutting it out till I get this sort of thing. So you can see me. If I put it on this sheet, you'll see what I've done. Like that. Yeah, because I thought this was really kind of seaweedy colours, and I thought once it's cut up, it's going to look quite fine. So now I'm going to be doing the next layer, which is decoupage, and so this is kind of the fussy cut one. This onto, and I want it to move. So let's start with one kind of up here, and I'm just going back over it all again, doing this next stage. So where do I want my seaweed to come from? Probably start it about here. I want it to go around the corner and up over this door. Now there's multiple layers, so I'm not sure how smooth this will all go on, but let's just wing it just now and see what happens. Should be relatively okay. I'm going to bend it into that crease. I'm just going to make sure I've got glue in there, that might help. And this is just to now give the piece some movement, which will help with the kind of putting it all together kind of thing. I just need to make sure that I've got glue everywhere. Whoop. And this, again, is another process that is going to take you a little bit of time if you're choosing to do something like this. I looked through all the decoupage paper and I thought this one definitely says Under the Sea to me. And it's not hugely obvious, like it's not standing out like a kind of like a wild card on the furniture, but it is kind of giving it another piece of colour and interest. And now what I'm doing is I'm just going over it all, making sure that it's all properly adhered to the furniture and it isn't coming back off like that. So I am going to keep going. I've got some smaller pieces of sort of seaweed as well. I mean, they're not all long. This one's a kind of interesting piece, which I think I want this coming from this side. So if I kind of bend it here and here and just cut that so that I can make it work. Like that. Let's see how that will work. Yeah. And I'm just going to kind of like sort of now set a scene with this over the top of everything else. Just going to make it a little bit more interesting, really. And it'll be good for when we go to put the details on top of this, because it's another layer. And I'm always talking about layers, but I think furniture art is about layers. And just making sure that I've got it all glued down. That's all I'm going to do next. I am going to do sort of sides coming out from the octopus with this as well, and some on the back and some on the sides as well, so that it all kind of pulls together with this same look. But you can see it's already adding something else to it. So I'll get on and do that. So I've stuck my seaweed onto my piece, and now what I've got is it's a light blue Posca, and I am kind of making sure that I go on the edge of my paper, but kind of do thick and thin lines. It's so that when you stand back, these look in the foreground. Oh, there's a little bit there. Always good to have and this is a good thing, to have your glue ready in case you miss something on the way, and then that way you can fix it, because I kind of do the once over as I'm a bit more glue as I'm doing a piece, and then that way I know where everything is and it's all glued down. So just avoid that part just now while it dries. It's good to know your furniture, and if you know that everything is stuck down, then you know this is good. So This is just to kind of highlight. It kind of puts this, oh, that's not where the line is, it's here. It puts this front and this behind, if you know what I mean, by doing this. It kind of gives the piece overall sort of dimension. You can put it a little bit thicker in these parts here. I'm working over a whole heap of texture now because I've got paper, I've got layers of paint, I've got where I've done it with my palette knife. So it's just about kind of like working and making it kind of thicker and thinner as you go. And you can see this one here that I've already done. You can see this is popping out, whereas if you look at this one down here, doesn't pop as much, but as soon as I do something like this and start putting the line around, you can see the difference between this and that. So that's what I'm going to do now. I didn't put much up the top on the back. I just added some small parts, and I don't know whether Martin can show you the side, but I just put a couple of parts on the side. They kind of, because there's more going over the top of this, so it was just to kind of it's to kind of make it all have dimension and movement. And I know I'm always bang on about the same things, but by doing things like this, it gives us like a foreground, a background, a middle ground, and that way it all kind of works. So I'm going to get on. It's going to take me quite a while to go around all of these pieces of seaweed with this pen, but I'll do that first. Okay, so I've outlined all of the seaweedy, styly stuff. Now, when you get your furniture this far, you then have to kind of just give it one last push over the edge, maybe not push it too far. I'll just show you my thought process. I don't know how I'm going to use it. I had a compass that I cut out and I ripped parts out of it that I thought maybe I might apply down here, but I don't know if it's going to send the furniture in the wrong direction. So I'm kind of keeping that up there just now because I'm unclear. What's next? So I have these IOD stamps. There's shells, different kind of shells, more shells. There's little tiny seahorses, which I think are going to work. So let's just kind of, I should have maybe did this off camera and picked them all out, but I just want something interesting. Do you know, I'm always looking for this star. It's from the Christmas stamp, and it's in, I thought it's a starfish, and I put it in with Seaside stamp box.
It is.
See, I mean, you can forgive me for somebody that's visually challenged. I mean, that's the starfish and that's the star. I've obviously just put it in the wrong box. But yeah, I was looking for that recently. So just any sort of interesting. This is a lovely big one. I might see if I can do something with that. But it comes, this stamp, I think I've only used it a few times. It's not something I do. There's some other kind of starfish, some seaweed, sorry, get my other sort of different size seahorses. So I'll get some of those out and we'll stamp some of those on. What colour of inks have I got here? I've got a teal blue, I've got an olive green, and I've got a hydrangea blue. The hydrangea blue is quite dark, so I think that might work. I have got a different blue as well, but I can't find it right now. I've also got some stencils. I've got another seahorse here, and I've got some shells, some more seaweed, another shell, and another starfish. So hopefully by what I have in stamps and stencils, I can put something together that's going to work. Now, I'm not going to cover the thing in it. I'm only working on the areas that I've worked on. So here, the back and the sides. None of the blue is going to get touched. I like that as it, and it's a good contrast between the two colours. So we'll work on this drawer. I mean, you've seen me stencil and stamp many times, but you can see me work this drawer out. Let's just have a wee look. I quite liked that little seahorse, but I don't know. It's a shame. I think this is just going to be slightly, we're not going to be going in the same direction then. I don't know if I like that. I think I like this one better. So something like this. I think I'm going to start with some stencils. Let's start with the bigger things first. So I think I'll do some of the stencils first, and then, so I'm thinking I'm not going to use the whole of the stencil. Now, how am I going to do this stencil? Let's just move all this out of the way. On my mix mat, I am going to, because it has to contrast with this, because my natural colour would be go to the sort of Versailles sort of creamy colour, but I think what I'm probably going to do is maybe go dark and then go light. So I will start with maybe an orange. How about that? With some cocoa in it. And I'm just going to mix those together with a stencil brush. Now, you need to offload. I've got an awful lot of paint on my brush here. I'm going to do it first, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it in and then come back with a different colour, if you know what I mean. So like that looks like that. But then what if I took a brush and went into the same colour and I just painted that whole thing in that colour, because we can come back over with a contrasting colour, and then that way we have a contrasting sort of stamp on it, if you know what I mean. So let's just paint that all in. Now, I'll come back to that when it's dry, but let's maybe put another one of these up here by doing the same thing. Giving it this.
So it's like stamp it, paint it, stamp it, but
Stencil
it, paint it, stencil it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Marley.
Yeah, this is a new one.
Yeah, this is exactly what it is. It's a new one, but it's an old one, if you know what I mean. It's one that's been kind of about for a long time for those that use stencils here and there. Oh, come on. There we go. So I've got 2 shells there, and maybe we'll do a different contrasting shell coming down this edge here. I'm only going to do one draw because you're going to get this sort of kind of impression of where I'm kind of going. And this is going right over the top of the seaweed as well. So it's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. And all your layers will make it sort of work together, hopefully. That's the plan. Oh, I don't know, everything's molten here today. I'm just going to go down that again and paint that all in. And we'll put the definition back in a minute. I think I might just, I don't want that just to go to nowhere. So let's just kind of make that shell up here. So that's our shells. While those are drying, I will endeavour to have a wee look and see what, because this is here is quite interesting. Because I'm telling you what, I'll run through what I'm thinking. These will be quite big format and not too clunky, but they're big. But to disguise the clunky, you need to put fine. So by using the mix of paint and ink, I'm managing to do both things, or so I hope. Maybe not. I quite enjoy this starfish. Just push that screw in. I just kept those in so that I could use pull the drawers in and out. Yeah, I think if I maybe put the starfish there, I've probably got enough room for that tiny little seahorse. Wherever he may be, I've lost him already. I spend an awful lot of time rooting around the carpet looking for the things that I had previously just had. I can see the big one. The big one's gone. Maybe I could just have the big one come in.
Did you put it back in the top?
I might have done, Martin. I might have done. He's
under
very
the
small.
Where your paint is on the mat, underneath the mat?
No.
No.
What I normally do is when this drives me crazy is when Martin's in the kitchen, I shout on him and I get him to come back and look. Because you know that way when you're looking for ages, you just can't see it. And he comes in and goes, there it is. Maybe I did put it back in the box. Anyway, I think I've veered off now. I think I'm going to be doing this over the top of this, but I need to do the shell first. But I think if that goes there, and this, see, that's going to look a bit too contrived. Maybe something like this is my sort of position. Now I can put remove this. I can put the Man, help me out here. What is this called? Starfish.
Starfish.
It's okay. I'm fine with that one. It's fine. Right. So I'm going to do the starfish here, and then I'll come back because these are nearly dry for me to do the top coat on. So I'm going to do this in the blue, or am I going to do it in the teal? Let me see. Oh, decisions. You're really seeing it all come together today. As I said from the very beginning when I did this, I'm going to do it in the teal. If I don't like it, I can come back over it in the blue. Actually, do you know what? I'll just do a stamp. I've just put a bit of both on this stamp. Let's see how this comes out. It's been very much kind of make it up as you go along, this piece, and I'm sorry that there's quite a lot of me kind of working it out on camera, but it's the only way really I think you can do it. I just want to show you one drawer before I go away and do the rest of the piece. It's just so you've got an idea of what I'm up to. But I'll basically be putting the shells and I'll be picking ivory stamps out just to kind of go around it. So there's my starfish. And where's that little starfish? I don't want to have too much because I'm going to have my... Let's put this in. Let's put this shell back in, and then we can put our seahorse over the top. So I'm thinking of going over it with probably a sort of mix of the kind of Versailles, which is the creamy colour. I'm trying to, I told you this last week, but I'm trying very hard to tell you not just the name of the paint, but the sort of colour of the paint, because for those that have got poor eyesight, and I have a subscriber whose vision isn't very good, it's hard for her to discern just by the name. So I'm trying to kind of do both each time I speak so that we're kind of a bit more inclusive. Right, I can't find my stencil brush, so I'm just going over the top with just an ordinary paintbrush. Let's go. And I'm not, can you see what I'm doing? I'm not filling it all back in because I want to put a bit more tone onto this. So something like this, and then maybe a little bit in the sort of cocoa, which is the sort of beigey brown, bit of that, and maybe, because I think I'll maybe put a little touch of yellow. Just to kind of highlight it. Let's see how this looks. So that's how I'm going to be doing my shells. I'm just going to be going over the top of them with different colours to kind of, so paint it first and then bring it out with the colours that you want it to look like. Yeah. I still don't think that this is probably going to be dry enough maybe to put my seahorse on, but I think my seahorse is going to be, positioning is about here. Let's do these ones first and we'll see if it's dry. I don't have my my heat tool that I can quickly...
I know where it is.
Do you know where it is, man? You're whispering.
Yes.
Where is it?
It's just over there on the shelf.
Is it? Okay, well, what shall I do?
If I change position, and just, if anybody could just bear with me a second.
Matt is just getting me my heat tool just so that we can... So professional, aren't we?
Aren't we?
I think you're filming the live piece on the side. There we go.
I don't know if it's plugged in.
It's okay, Matt, and we can always stop the camera. Let me see. No, it's not. Oh, I can plug it in. Just bear with me 1 minute while I just heat this shell up down the... Oh, well, let me just finish this one first. And
Sorry
then,
about that.
Sorry, you got a little bit of everything there, people. Because I'm not going to labour too much over what I'm about to do next. I'm just kind of really literally showing you this drawer, and then I'm calling it quits, and I'm going to go away and do it because once you've seen it once, you've seen it a million times, and there's nothing, you're not seeing anything kind of different, I don't think. Just kind of texturally kind of building up some more layers to make them look like shells. But you get the concept. I'll just dry these off. Right, okay. My seahorse I'm going to be doing in the sort of darker blue. thought I'd lost him. Then I was like, oh, there's a Bermuda Triangle going on. I washed my carpet yesterday, so it's all nice and springy and clean today. It gets covered in paint and bits of paper, and it's stone floors I'm sitting on, so I need something to sit on when I get cold. Now, how much of this do I want? I'll try and get as much as I can. Did you see what I did there? I put my finger right in the middle. Kind of stops a bit of shift if you've got something that's not on a plastic backing, because as long as you're controlling it by here, you can then push the rest down. Right, let's have a wee look at this, a wee gander, and see if we like it. Yes, we do, but hang on a minute. I just want a little bit more definition in that part there. There. Okay, so we have, it's starting to set the scene. I think really we could do with a little bit like more of a sort of kind of greeny shade. I'm trying to think. I think probably what I might do with that is I've got some Florence on my mat, or I'm just about to, and I've got a wee stencil brush here, and let's just see if we can bring just bits and pieces of this in. Yeah, I wasn't talking there, so I was concentrating. I will bring that up onto there, and I think that's just finishing it off.
Layer upon layer upon layer.
Oh, I know, just never ends.
Yes.
I think you got to. Yeah, so you can see what I've done there, and I think that draw now is, I've got to do this shell here, but I'm talking that is finished now for me. What am I going to do down here? I'm going to pretty much do the same things. I'm going to do some of this green and the seaweed. I might put some of these big, and I'll be doing these the same way, painting out a colour and going back over the top, maybe try and get it to bend in here like that. Maybe a big format of a shell, more little seahorses, and some bits out of my stamp. And I'm just going to do the front and some on the back. Not too much on the back. I don't want too much detracting from the octopus, and some bits on the sides. Okay. That made me laugh there, sorry. So I got all my stenciling finished, and I kind of just outlined it in white, so it's been done on all of the sides. It's changed location because I've actually already sealed it. I thought, well, I'm just going to bring it over here anyway. Now I just want to show you the handles, which Martin's just about to apply before the big reveal. They're ship's wheels. I was going to call them steering wheels. So I'm going to get Martin to attach those there. We'll get it staged up and we'll get it finished. Okay, so it's finished. What did we do? We got a shower curtain. We cut it up into pieces that we wanted to apply. We used Mod Podge to do so. We then painted right up to the Mod Podge. We put some distress on, some ripped paper. We came back and we put decoupage seaweed on it. We then stamped and we stenciled, and that was it. Is this a complicated thing to do? No, it's not. What I will say is, and this is my own sort of take on it, the shiplap went with the piece, but it was more difficult to hide transitions because you've got that gap. If it had been smooth, it'd have been so easy, because to be honest with you, this is so smooth. So I would pick, kind of wisely if you're going to do this, but there's all sorts of shower curtains, so knock yourself out. Anyway, I'm not really going to labour on this. Who'd have thought, eh, Martin? I think it's awesome. It's got its cool handles on. I really like this piece. I really enjoyed making the piece. I think that everybody should push the envelope a little bit. I think that's the only way you can kind of see how things work. You learn to problem solve, and everybody knows that problem solving goes into how resilient you are in life. So it's a good thing. So I've been let out for me by Marley, and I have the lovely Martin here, and we hope that you will give us a like, a share, a thumbs up, and leave us a lovely comment, and please don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next week, won't we, Marty?
We will.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.